Hey, what's up guys? So in this video we're going to be finishing up the roll cage in the Rambler. We're just going to, all that's left is patching up the holes in the floor where the roll cage goes through, down to the subframe connectors and the spring hangers, and then back into the trunk. I will just give you a little quick run through of the roll cage that's in the car though. We did have a 8-point roll bar in there before. But it was made out of ERW pipe, and pipe is not a roll cage material, I now know. And I was using 1.5 inch sked 40, which actually comes out to be about a little over 1.9 inch outside diameter, so it's a lot bigger than what you would need to run anyways. So for a weight, from a weight perspective, it's not the best stuff to be running in the first place. So now we have a 1 5/8 outside diameter DOM tubing, which is what you're supposed to be running, and we've ran some 1 1/4 and 3/4 inch stuff in a few other places, and you'll see that. So first off, we've got our window net install. This is just a race quip universal kit that we put in there, and Performance World net. So it's just the old GM belt buckle style. It just clips in up top there, and the back of it goes through this little hoop. And in the bottom side, just so that it would make it easier to get out of the car, I made it cable mount on the front, and then in the back is just a tab that it swivels on, just with a bolt going through it. And it seems to work pretty good. As you can see, it'll be pretty easy to get out of the car if need be. And in here you can see we have our main hoop coming around, and then we have our 2 down bars going down. I'll come move to the other side of the car here so we can see a little better. There we go. So we have our 2 down bars coming down. These tie into our subframe connectors on both sides. Pretty standard stuff there. If you don't have subframe connectors, you can just go to your transmission tunnel and use a 6x6 plate there, just like you would like your rocker sills or anywhere else that your cage ties into the floor in a unibody vehicle anyways. All of this in the back here, this is all added in because for these Ramblers, you're lucky to fit like any more than a 6-inch wheel on it, it seems like, or 6-inch wide tire anyways, which wouldn't be super great for drag racing. So I had to move the frame kit, or the spring hangers, to the inside of the frame, and just the way that was done, I wasn't super happy with how it was structurally, especially now that we have a trans brake in the car. So I went ahead and put these bars down into the floor, through the floor down to the top of the spring hangers, and then just kind of made a gusseted piece that ties into our main cross tube of the roll cage itself. So it should be pretty stout back there. And then one key thing for any roll cage builds is to always have continuous tubing, or try to anyways. So I just continued that up to the top, and that'll kind of reinforce things. If she ever goes shiny side down, then that'll keep our main hoop from collapsing in on us. All of the tubes up at the top are gusseted, as you can see, either with an 1/8 inch plate just cut into a triangle, or 3/4 inch DOM tube, just because I couldn't weld all the way around when it was up at the top there. One trick that you can do if you're starting out from scratch is you can actually cut a hole in your floor and drop the cage down through, so then you can weld all the way around the tops. But since this one already had a cage in it, I wasn't able to do that because I didn't want to cut out this plate and then have to add another one and just hack the car apart more than necessary. And our down bars in the back, they're pretty straightforward. Come back to the trunk, you can see they just come down and mount on to some 6x6 plates as well. Here's the old plates from our old cage. It didn't come back as far just because I didn't like the angle that the bars had to be on to get them way back here. And I think this will be fine. If it ends up we get any kind of chassis movement that we don't like, then we'll just extend them back, or we'll work on things from there. As far as the door goes, it's just pretty standard. This is 1 5/8" tubing. It goes down to our front down bars, and then I added in an X brace there as well, just because that stiffens things up quite a bit, especially in a unibody car. And then around the windshield, I tied our window bar is continuous. It comes down with our roof bar, and then our windshield bar ties into those. Again, because gusseted on each side, and then I added a little piece on here to fit a couple of gauges. One thing that you will notice when the car is all complete and outside and together, that when you look at it from the side, when this window is up, there's a frame that goes right up here. So when you actually look at the car from the side, you can't see the cage really when you're looking at it from the direct side anyways. And then we just tied our seats in, because you have to have the back of your seats always have to be connected to your cage as well. So to get to the point of the day here, these are the holes that we're actually going to be patching, the ones going through the floor, and then we got one more back here on each side that our down bars go through. And to do that, I'll walk over to the other side of the car again. We have these plates that I kind of cut it, or measured anyways, and cut out. Started cutting out. So these ones here, each one of these pairs is going to be for one bar assembly. We're going to cut these holes are the same diameter as the piece of tubing that's going through the floor, so you can see they're pretty close. And then once we cut these lines across on each one, then we'll be able to slide them together on each side of the pipe, and then we can put a rivet or a couple of rivets, however we want to work it, on the plates, and then they'll just pop right into the floor, and then we can rivet them there as well, and then seam seal them, or whatever works as far as that goes. I like to use seam sealer and rivets just because then it's not such a permanent thing. So if down the road you wanted to put a chromoly cage in or something like that, then you're not worried about cutting up your floor and always losing that amount of real estate each time that you're going into the car to change something like that, which is always nice, especially on something that is old and you don't really want to hack it to pieces all the time. So we'll get together, or get going on the cutting here, and I'll probably just time lapse that so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. So we got all of our plates in the car here. They're all cut out and ready to rock and roll. So you can see here, the idea of it is just to have two plates that you slide together, and then they kind of take up the void that's in the floor, and then we'll just rivet them down and put some seam seal around it, and that'll keep the smoke and all the dirt debris out of the car. So we'll go ahead and get these all painted up, and then in the next part we will just be riveting them down into the floor and seam seal them up, and that'll be about it. For the rears, they're just going to slide up like that, and then we'll bolt them in where the old speaker holes were. I just had cut them out, and where's that piece at? I cut them out and just put one slit up in the top here, so then they'll just bend around the tube and then slide up into place, just to make it a little bit easier as far as riveting them up into place goes. Then you're not trying to hold two pieces where you can just hold one, so that'll be a little bit nicer. So that'll be the next segment here. Alright, so that's going to be a wrap on our little cage video here. I'll show you the finished product. It's nothing super fancy, but fills the holes and gets the job done. I did fill in the back holes here, just put the plates in with bolts. Nothing too fancy there. If you are looking to build a roll cage yourself, or a roll bar, or you're thinking about going a little faster and you have to make a roll bar into a roll cage, then don't be afraid to do it yourself. If I can do it, you can do it. It's not super hard. Once you get into it, it's a lot of work, but it's definitely rewarding once you get it all done. And once you're in the middle of it, it can be pretty fun. And you don't really need any special tooling as far as that goes. I did everything here in this little shop. So what I did have is a Model 32 bender from JD Squared. It's a hydraulic one, which is super nice as far as the workload goes, but they do sell manual ones for a little bit cheaper. And another thing was this tubing notcher. They're super easy to use. The degree wheel here is off a bit, but once you use it a few times, then you kind of get used to it. And then along with the whole saw kit. And other than that, just a bunch of DOM tubing and kind of roll with it. It's, yeah, like I said, it's a big job and a lot of work, definitely, but it's definitely rewarding once you get it all done and can say, hey, I built that. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.